It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Groovy.
Yep.
Questionable after the pre-show.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Liz. It just... Hope everybody out there is doing okay. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Oh, man. Not a lot. Or not a lot that you guys would want to hear about.
Let us be the judge.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, I kind of told you guys about it with my computer. It's like, gotta do this, and that's been a week of gotta do this, and
basically of fixing everything but your computer.
Right. The main thing's still not done yet. But it looks nice.
I'm sure it does.
Sitting in its box.
Right. Sitting in the floor, held up by bricks right now. No, I did get the monitor arm. And if you guys are in our Discord, I think I posted in my T channel that if you're a woman, you may need to get help. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Which, of course, I was having problems with the nut. Not tightening it, but the nut wasn't on the bolt right. So I couldn't get it off. So guess who I had to ask to help me? And, of course, this is after my rant with him. And so, of course, it was suck everything up in my being, put my ego aside, and it was like, honey, can you help me?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it totally sucked.
It's going to be a long night.
Just, I think my brain just broke.
Yep.
I was not expecting to hear either the word nut or the word bulge in any context. So, especially connected together. Anyway.
With the computer,
what you do with your computer, I got nothing to do with that.
None of our business.
Nope.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that's been something. And I don't get it because I have a bigger monitor, and so I made sure that the weight and everything else was correct, and it's wonky, and it's going to wind up driving me nuts, so I probably won't use this for very long anyways. The week's work I've put into it, it'll bug me, and I'll take it off, and that'll be the end of it. But, what else have I been doing?
But on a lighter note.
I think it was maybe Sci-Fi this weekend had a Marvel marathon. And I was thinking, it's going to be the regular MCU stuff that we've seen over and over that they're killing us with. But it wasn't. They did play Civil War, but they played the two Punishers back to back, which was kind of cool because... it was easier to compare if you like this one better than that one. And I honestly think that I liked the first one better.
With Thomas Jane?
Believe it was, where his...
With John Travolta as the bad guy? With John Travolta,
yes.
Thank you.
I liked that one so much better. The second one, I forget who the guy is in that one, that plays the Punisher. It was just kind of... I don't know. I didn't feel for him. They didn't really let you into his character very much, and to where I felt the first one, they kind of broke that down a little bit better we watched his son and his wife get gunned down, which was emotional. Well, actually, his whole family.
Yeah.
So you were more on his side, you know. But I have a very interesting question here. Daredevil is also in Hell's Kitchen, correct? And a lot of times him and Punisher will cross paths and either help each other or get the hell out of each other's way. So when there's a major crisis that's happening in Hell's Kitchen where like a bunch of people are going to die, where's Daredevil? Why is it the anti-hero that's, saving everyone's ass when there's more than him that just... I've never understood that. They don't...
It's because a different movie studio owned the rights to Daredevil at the time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you got to remember, there was a time where 5 or 6 different movie studios owned the film rights to Marvel characters. And, that's almost that's almost completely gone. I think like Universal has like the distribution rights to Hulk and Namor, but I think everything else is pretty much now back in house.
Yeah.
With the exception of Sony. Sony has the Spider-Man and the related characters, but they're working in conjunction with Marvel right now.
Huh.
But everything else is in house.
Namor?
It would have been interesting.
Namor?
Yeah.
Has there been a Namor movie?
There hasn't been.
Okay.
That's part of the problem.
Hmm.
And that's the reason why it seems like that's the reason why they won't do a Hulk movie now. And I don't get that because there was talk of doing a Hulk World War or Planet Hulk movie.
After what they did with it, Ragnarok, where it was just him and Thor.
Well, but that's essentially what happened. They were going to do a Planet Hulk movie, but I don't know all the details, but they essentially decided to mash it up with Ragnarok and basically kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, I mean that basically to me was a Hulk movie. It kind of was more on his story. I would have liked to have seen more of that than what else they gave us. And speaking of what else they gave us, I watched, and I shouldn't have, the Daredevil with Ben Affleck. That was so bad. I mean, it was like I started watching it, and it's like, oh, Liz, you're not going to like this. I'm halfway through it. It's like, Liz, you don't like this. Why are you still watching it?
I've heard the director's cut is better. I can't say that one way or another. But here's the thing: the guy who wrote and directed that film is the guy who wrote Grumpy Old Men. So he can write.
He can.
He can write a good script, but he's also the same guy who wrote and directed Ghost Rider.
Huh.
So apparently he can write a good script, but he can't write a superhero script.
Yeah.
Maybe unpopular opinion, but Ghost Rider was at least 10 times better than Daredevil. That was, I mean, I love Jennifer Garner, but I hated her as Elektra. That was just.
Oh, there was a movie after that.
Yeah.
She got her own movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to watch that.
My understanding is that it's significantly worse than Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I don't need to watch that. And I know that he has a habit of forcing his love interest into his movies, but it was kind of like she has too much of a good girl personality that she just didn't fit in that role at all. And it's not because she was acting like a good girl. It's because you look at her and you see good girl.
Well,
girl next door.
And
the thing to remember is that this, I can't remember if it was while Alias was still on TV or if it was just after Alias went off TV. But, I mean, that's probably why she got the role.
Yeah.
Because she was the badass spy lady on TV at the time. So let's just make her into the badass spy lady in the movies. Well, yeah, that didn't work because I don't know what the hell went wrong with that. But
And it was sad to say those two were ever married because there was no chemistry there whatsoever. They had some of the most romantic things that should have happened that was just ruined because these two had no chemistry whatsoever. Like the rain scene, that was beautiful, but Ben fucked it up, you know? So it was kind of, and I guess it was the way he was playing blind that just wasn't viable. And I will say, I had not seen Daredevil in a long time, and I have watched the Netflix with Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock owns that part. I mean, he is Daredevil.
What was
You
the
know,
guy's-
Charlie
Cox. Yes.
Cox, yeah.
I mean, see, it's the same guy to me. But he is that part. He plays it really well. And when you look at him, you can say, okay, that's a blind guy, not
He
a
definitely has a look that's closer to the comics as opposed to Affleck.
Yeah.
Not that we're really going to, hey, you got to match up exactly like the comics, but he definitely fits it better than Ben.
Well, and I also feel like he picked up that little quirky attitude that Daredevil had. You know, I feel like he captured that better than Ben did. So, but yeah, so if you haven't seen either one, watch the movie first so you won't be disappointed after you watch the series, you know. But I heard, and there's a lot of commotion about this right now that Disney has pulled all of their titles from Netflix, that these will be on Disney Plus. And some people are having a problem with that because, like Jessica Jones, I mean, I don't know how Disney is going to get away with doing that. And of course, at the same time, they're redesigning their parent-torrential controls. But I know as a kid with the blurry cinema channels, you know, there's ways around that. There really is. So I'm kind of surprised Disney pulled the gun on that and said, yeah, let's do it.
I've seen the discussion about this, and my response to this about the uproar about these shows being on Disney Plus and oh my god and all this, is like, start being a fucking parent. Be a fucking parent.
Yes.
You know?
But you can't be with your kid 24/7. I had some kids who were little Eddie Haskell. Oh, hi, Miss Newman. You're looking awfully pretty today. I never would have guessed what they did when they left here. I thought they were good kids, and then the kids were like, oh, yeah, we used to catch each other on fire with axe. It's like, what? That kid? So, you know, just because my kids weren't allowed to play games with blood in it until they were like 13. We turned if you couldn't turn it off in the game, you couldn't play it. You know, Grand Theft Auto, not in my house. So I was that parent, but I can't control what happens whenever he goes over to his friend's house and Janet's passed out on the couch because of alcohol and pills, you know. But you can't control if another parent doesn't give a fuck, you know. So it's not always parent your kid.
Here's the thing. Then it's like, then the responsibility needs to be someone else's. You know, it's like all these people that are complaining about the gas prices, and they're wanting the president to do something. It's like, so you want the government to take over handling gas?
You want more government control.
You know, so you know, make up your mind what you want, and that's that. But that's the thing here. It's like, you can only control what's going on in your house. Disney's doing what they can to add tougher panoramic controls. What else do you want them to do?
Right.
I mean,
I'm not.
Why aren't you complaining about the regular networks that are showing just as bad stuff?
Yep.
Nobody's complaining about them.
Yep. Well, they do, but you know, it's not Disney, so it doesn't make a big wave. I'm with you that if you watch your kid to the best of your knowledge, kids are going to be kids. Kids are going to see things they're not supposed to see. Kids are going to say things that they're not supposed to say. And that doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It just means you raised an asshole. I'm kidding. I love my kids. But, there's not everything is in your control. But one thing I will say, I think it was HBO I was telling you guys about. My grandbaby is so into Tom and Jerry right now. And with their parental controls, it's locked down. She cannot watch Tom and Jerry. If Disney adopts controls like HBO has, they're going to be all right with this. Because if your kid is not, your kid should have their own profile. And I know the way it's set up now, she can't watch anything that's not Disney Junior. But most of the time, I like their Disney Now app better than Disney Plus. For kids. For me, I'd rather watch Disney Plus. But there's so much more on that than what's on Disney Plus. And it may seem like a little rant, but when the baby, they have, she likes Muppet Babies, but they have what they call a short, which is usually 10, 15 minutes long. And now on the Disney Now app, it goes from one episode, from the end of that episode into the next one. Disney Plus has not adopted that design yet. They make you wait through credits, which are probably as long as the freaking short was, before it will kick over and play the next one. So they definitely need to fix that, because you're not going to keep a 2-year-old interested in who voiced Mickey Mouse. They don't care. So I agree. They need to tighten a few screws, but they're doing a good job. And if your kids have watched Daredevil and that's the worst thing they've done, you've done a pretty good freaking job as a parent, in my book anyways, So I think, once again, had this been any other channel out there, nobody would have said anything. Nobody said anything about it on Netflix, but there's also tons of kids programming on Netflix. So make up your minds, Pick an outrage and make it apply to both sides.
Nope.
But I do think that Disney's being held higher. But it's been a long time since Disney started doing other things than kids shows. So it's not like they're just kids,
Yeah, they've been buying other studios for a long time now.
They have. Yeah. And I think it's really great the way they've handled that over on Disney Plus, too. Each channel they've integrated is a separate channel on there. So, it's easier to find and stuff. Netflix is just all thrown together, mumbo jumbo. And now, after raising their price $5, I don't think I'm going to stay with Netflix. It's just, they don't bundle with any other channel. So it's kind of like, what am I paying $20 a month for? I watch Hulu more anyways. So the stuff that did have me interested, Stranger Things is about to end. All of the Marvel stuff is being pulled over to Disney. So it's kind of like, why? I don't need it.
There's certainly not a lack of other things to watch.
No, not at all.
So them raising their prices is kind of a ballsy move, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they say it's because of the pandemic. Everybody's at home watching TV, so they probably boosted in profit. So what's the deal here? To me, it just felt like a cash grab. They boasted about all these new people during the pandemic that signed up for their service, and at the same time, you're going to raise me $5?
Mm-hmm.
What? That, not to get political, but that's kind of like the gas, like you were saying right now. These gas companies are building trillions in profit. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to raise the prices, Is it going to take $1 million off your $1 trillion profit this year? I mean, so yeah. I don't like being stuck at 2, and I feel that's what Netflix is doing. Kind of like AMC did with the Batman. That was crazy. So if they start raising prices, what decides a premium movie now? Shouldn't they all be premium? Shouldn't they all be special when they come out? I mean, right?
No.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that thing.
I thought that was crazy, though. Before the pandemic, they were hurting. They were hurting bad. And they were like, we don't know if we're going to make it. Then the pandemic hit, and they were like, we really don't know if we're going to make it. So now all of these customers who have pulled you through this bullshit and got you through on the other side, you're now going to stick it to them and start charging them more on tickets?
Well, I mean, it's only AMC, so there's other options for most locations. So most cities have other locations.
How often is it? Cinemark's, hey, they got away with doing this.
If they get away with doing it, is the deal.
Yeah, that's the thing. Cinemark will do it if AMC is successful with doing it. If people still keep going to AMC and watching blockbuster films and getting charged, I mean, from what I saw, is $1 or $2, but that's $1 or $2 now.
Yeah.
Down the road, it may be another $2, and then maybe they'll keep increasing it as long as I can get away with it.
Yeah.
And then when they don't, then
See, what I was seeing is actually a $5 increase. Firewheel was $12.50 to go watch a movie. Batman ticket, depending on where you sat, because that's also where they're going to get you now, is where you sat in a movie theater. I think it was $17.50 for general admission. I didn't even check on premium seats, but it's like that's $5 more. Like you said, after pandemic, when people are hurting right now, is this the time to really be screwing your customers? I feel like when you buy a ticket, they should give you a jar of Vaseline too, because I won't finish that sentence.
Thank you.
But after that, and the way I was feeling anyways about movie theaters, that will definitely, for me, be the final nail in the coffin. Because for me and my son to go to the movies, you get popcorn, a drink, and all that jazz, it's $50. Now you're going to start raising the ticket price. No. I'll buy the movie in a big screen TV. I'll save.
There is a possibility it's going to move people more to the streaming services.
Yep.
It could. If the rest of the chains do that.
Guess what? Well, that's where it was going anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how quickly they want to hasten their own demise at this point.
Yeah.
And I know people are hurting right now, and companies are going out of business and that kind of thing. But when you're someone like AMC, when you have a pillow, think about your people who you're serving that didn't have that pillow. If you're hurting now, what about the people who didn't have $1 million to kind of kick around and be okay with, And I just threw million out there. Probably a lot more to keep a movie theater open, but same principle. If you're hurting in your company, your
one
customers
theater, maybe.
are hurting even more, Well, especially groceries and gas and everything else the way they are. Mm-hmm. People are prioritizing movies. Am I going to eat this week, or am I going to go watch the Batman? So.
One thing I wanted to point out, you talked about you didn't remember who was playing Punisher in the second one. That was Ray Stevenson, who was also Volstagg in the Thor films.
I didn't like him.
You didn't like him as Volstagg?
No, I didn't like him. I didn't like him as
Punisher. Yeah.
I didn't like the story either.
I'll be honest, I didn't get that far into the film. I don't even remember how long. It's been so long since I've tried to watch it. I lost interest pretty quick.
Yeah.
But the Thomas Jane I did like.
I liked it. It kind of showed a human side than
So.
And I thought it was pretty shitty to get that close to the family and not tell them, I'm the one that killed your husband. It was an accident, but I'm the one who killed your husband. Sorry about that. I just saved your kid's life, though, so we're even, right? He should have told her. She should have known that. So he kept saying, I'm not the bad guy, but you was. So, But the other one, you could sympathize more because someone gunned my whole family down. Oh yeah, I'll definitely go on a rampage.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not?
It'll be fun. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but you can understand that rage. To where this was kind of, the whole glass thing, and yeah, it just no. I watched it, but yeah.
And you immediately started trying to forget it?
Right. I should have stuck with the first one. And it was weird because then after Daredevil and the Punishers, they played Civil War. It's like that's kind of a weird choice. Out of all the Marvel movies you could have picked,
Well, it had the most characters other than the adventure films.
True.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on what they were able to obtain the show.
And that one was weird because you saw the problem and they put you on both sides. You could see both sides, and hated to see them fighting. Yep.
So, all right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Follow that, Mike.
No. No, I actually warned y'all last week. I'm probably not going to have a whole lot for a little while here, or at least not a lot I can talk about because I'm starting to do homework for the next couple of months worth of episodes, which tends to take a lot of my time. I also had other crap going on this past week, which distracted me mightily. So I kind of got nothing. I mean, like I said, I watched a movie, but I can't talk about it yet. We'll talk about it soon. It'll be fun.
Soon TM.
Soon TM. Soon with 5 O's. Not just the usual 2.
There you go. Alrighty, Les, follow that. Is he awake?
Did he just hang up? I mean, come on now. No. Okay.
No.
Have you seen the Batman yet?
No, I have not. But I did watch an oldie and a recent movie. I watched The Atom Project, which is on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, it's Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan. Go on. Playing Ryan Reynolds, his typical routine. It was good. I enjoyed it. I don't know that it'll be one that I watch again, but it was entertaining. And they snubbed their nose at one of the big theories of time travel, so I was happy to see that. The old one was a 1983 movie by the Coen brothers, which I highly recommend watching, and that is Blood Simple. Blood Simple is a murder mystery, where it's a murder. A murder is committed, but you go, how did that happen? There are lots of twists and turns in it. This is with M. Emmett Walsh, John Getz, Francis McDormand, Dan Hedaya, and it's really good. It's one of those that will have you watching till the very end. There's no, this is going to happen, because the Coen brothers have a tendency to twist it. And in this one, this is an early Coen brothers movie, and it was a lot of twists and turns. these are the guys that later did Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
And
Ooh.
Fargo.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And once again, they get Frances McDormand in Fargo. So that one, yeah, be sure to watch it. And that was about it for me.
You talk about the Adam Project. Ryan put out a TikTok. I saw this like a day or so ago. It's talking about. He's talking about how they found the kid that played the younger version of his character. It's this video of and Ryan's in the front seat of a car, and he's recording this, and the kid's in the back seat just quoting Deadpool 2, just doing all the lines and all that.
Oh, man.
And so you're watching Ryan, and you're seeing Ryan Reynolds just kind of make all these faces because he's just like, okay. Oh, did I say that? It's funny. I need to see if I can find that. But it's funny because the kid's like 11, but apparently he knows Deadpool 2 by heart. Obviously the dialogue. And I was like, that's kind of what he. So it was cute. I saw that the other day. And, I'll see if I can find it. We'll put that on show notes. Yeah, it was a blast. So, okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. For me, I actually came across a website, and we'll put a link in the show notes as well. The web address is retrodrivein.com, and it has a bunch of, I would say, old movies. I mean, they start back from the 20s and go up to the 90s. Now, all these films are available on YouTube. They just copied the HTML code and put it on their website, and that's fine, because it's a lot of films that I've never heard of before. And the film that I watched was Man in the Attic from 1953. Have y'all heard of this film? It stars Jack Palance.
No.
I've heard of Flowers in the Attic, but not Man in the Attic.
It's a story about. It's actually based off a book called The Lodger from 1916 from Marie Bullock Loudness. And the story is Palance plays this pathologist who does work at a local university, and he rents a couple rooms in this house, and the landlady is played by Aunt B.
Ooh.
And she starts suspecting that he's Jack the Ripper. It's a really good film. It shows you how good Jack was. I thought he did a really good job in this film. Maybe a little bit. There was times where maybe he may have overdid it a little bit, but I thought he was great. And it's a really good film. So
cool.
I definitely recommend you checking that out and checking out the website. It's Retro Drive In. That's RETRODRIVE-IN.com. And they've got them listed by categories, by decades, and it's a pretty cool little website. I'm going to be checking this out a little bit more because there's only like 2 or 3 films that I've seen that I've actually knew existed. I've heard of them before, so that's cool. So this is actually going to give me an opportunity to see films or check out films that didn't know existed. That's always a cool thing.
Mm-hmm. Fun. Then you throw this at me just as I'm starting to do all this homework for future episodes.
Well, there'll always be time off, but you can at least check it out. So, yeah. Couple of things before we start into this week's discussion. We do have a Discord. Discord is free to sign up. The app is free, and we do have an invite on our homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. We post a lot of news items. We post videos and trailers. We'll post stuff for discussion. We'll post stuff to amuse ourselves, a lot of memes. We will do activities on there. We've done some monthly activities, and then we'll do like a movie night or something like that. And we're overdue for a movie night. We'll need to do that sometime soon. So it's open to everybody. So if you want to join us, feel free to join us today. Like I said, invites on the homepage. Item number 2, programming note. No new episode next week. We are taking a week off. It's our scheduled week off. But we'll be back the following week and got some fun stuff coming up. Mike's already alluded to some of it, so stand apprised of that. And third thing, episode 300 is coming down the pike, and we want to do a Ask the Fellowship episode. So if you have a question you want to throw our way for us to discuss on the show, definitely send it our way. Email. You can send through email or social media. We do have something posted on Twitter. Definitely, we're looking for some questions to answer for our 300th episode. So now is your time if you want to ask us something.
Because we're experts,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't figured out on what after almost 300 episodes, but yeah, we're experts.
It's that sudden expertism.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. We'll see how things go with this week's episode. It come to my attention a series of books, a series of comics. Now, back in the day, there used to be a few comics that would come out that were basically glorified ads for something, for a company. I remember as a kid getting one that featured Ready Kilowatt that kind of talked about energy, and and this type of stuff. It doesn't really happen anymore. They may do one for something for charity, that kind of raise awareness, that kind of thing. Maybe if they do something like that. But that's kind of died off. But this year marks like the 40th anniversary of one particular series of books. There was only 3 of them. But they were done by DC in conjunction with Radio Shack to promote the TRS-80 computers. And as someone who that was my first computer back in the day, so there's a little bit of nostalgia with this. And I had these books. I don't know if I still do. It was kind of a nice little trip back, but I kind of want to go over these a little bit because they don't hold up as well for several reasons. So obviously technology, but kind of just want to discuss these a little bit. What?
No, it's a 40-year-old personal computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
To put it mildly.
To put it mildly, because we're talking tape backups instead of a flash drive,
Yeah.
or a cloud. Yes, cloud storage. So that kind of stuff. So
my first storage was a floppy. all the games came on it. You saved on it. Hopefully you didn't save over your game until they came up with a way you couldn't do that anymore.
The notch. Yep.
That you could put a little bit of something on it, and get past it if you wanted to reuse that.
Now, are you talking about the actual floppy, or are you talking about the little hard one?
No, the big floppy.
Okay, I was
before
making
the
sure.
little.
Because the little hard ones got called floppies too, even though they weren't floppy.
They weren't floppy.
Right. No.
Yeah.
We're old people.
Right. We used to have to worry about bending our games, let alone blowing into them. You couldn't bend that floppy.
Nope.
I want to say we had, was it a Commodore?
Commodore 64 was a big one, yeah.
Yeah, it was huge.
A friend of mine had one of those in college. We used to play the crap out of it.
Yeah. They were fun. They were real fun. Took up a lot of real estate. And, that during this time, when the computers came out, do you remember having computer labs in school?
Mm-hmm.
And it was always, it still is. It's a dedicated room full of computers. Now, back in my day, right beside the computer lab was almost a classroom-sized closet next to it, which housed the server for all of those computers.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's flash drive, maybe. Extra brick on the other desk, So it's like, that blows me away,
Yeah, because back in my day, that computer room, those were not PCs.
No.
Those were terminals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's how you were accessing the big computer in the next room.
Yeah.
With the horrendous AC and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Wires everywhere.
Yeah, there was no Wi-Fi.
Now they don't need that.
Nope. Just walk around with a tiny little laptop in your hand. Do whatever you need to do.
And my smartphone probably has more memory than that whole closet full of servers did.
Oh yeah.
So we've definitely come a long way. That's these ads in these comic books were kind of funny. Because we have come so far. I think there was one for free batteries. That's why they're no longer in business.
Back when you had to plug everything in anyway, right?
Right. Yeah.
The batteries were not for the computers. The computers didn't use batteries. But yeah. Now there was a lot of calculators going on. Calculators were a big thing, and I believe Tandy made those too, right?
Yeah, I think they did.
I mean, obviously Texas Instruments did around the same time frame. But yeah.
I remember the Tandy calculator with the big solar screen thing at the top.
Oh yeah, the solar one was fancy.
Yeah.
Didn't work worth a shit, but it was fancy.
Yeah, it didn't work worth a shit at all. And I guess if you're younger, what most people don't realize about Radio Shack was like the computer electronic place to go to. It was the Home Depot for computers.
Yeah, because back in those days, buying, it got to where you could buy like an existing motherboard that had been put together already. But Radio Shack used to sell the shit that you used to build those yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously on much smaller scale because there wasn't a motherboard back then. But it's originally, I believe Radio Shack started out selling ham radio parts and kind of expanded from there. Those of you who have any idea what ham radio is, it's basically homemade radio sets.
Yeah.
That you could build.
Like a CB for your home.
Right. You could broadcast and receive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's been going on since, God, I don't know, Second World War at least.
And they were popular. They had a prime for sure because they were the first ones in that industry,
Yep. They were the name.
Mm-hmm.
That was where you went. And they used to have them all over the place.
Yep.
Every mall at least had two.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and what was the name of that movie? The Number 5 is Alive.
Short Circuit?
Short Circuit, when they go into that Radio Shack and he basically rebuilds himself, that's true. Everything you would have needed for that kind of stuff was at Radio Shack.
Except for the sentient robot. That was actually the fiction part. But yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, totally feasible.
Totally. Yeah. And that's the first place I would have gone. Later on, it became Fry's, but, they're gone now, too.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Anyway, comic books.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the comic book was basically one big ad for Radio Shack. I did read the one with Superman. They're like, oh, the computer's almost as fast as Superman.
And
that's how slow computers work.
And conveniently, Superman's brain was slowed down for, oh God, now I don't remember why, but his powers were faltering or something, and so he wasn't thinking as fast. So he's got the kids doing these calculating, it's like how to catch the falling airliner.
Yeah,
and that stuff, and doing all the geometry for that and stuff like that on their TRS-80 computers, what most people nowadays would really only think of as trash 80s. But yeah, pretty neat stuff.
It was. And I did think it was funny where he came up through the floor. Oh, I can't make an entrance because people will see me. So, yeah, let's just tear up the foundation and the floor to a school. No
Makes
biggie, Superman.
Sure, why
said
not?
He'd fix it.
Hey, he'd fix the one in his own apartment from 7 panels before that, so why not, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it was pretty cool the way they introduced the computer.
I mean, given that they had 30 pages to do it in, they actually got into some detail about that too. There was a good bit of, well, this is they're programmed and they're coded in binary and they use basic programming language and blah blah blah. And they went on for a while with that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And when these were put out, it was during a time when people were like, well, "Who the hell needs a computer?"
Right. What's it going to do for me?
I've got a calculator and a typewriter. Who needs a computer? Which
typewriters.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, of course, now we see why people needed computers,
Do we?
I can think of a lot of things that would be different without computers. I would probably be insane by now, but,
By now.
By now, yeah.
By now.
Just would have got there a little quicker,
Les, what were your thoughts about these books?
I thought it was an ingenious way to get this in front of the American public. I believe that they were able to bring commoners, and I'm looking at myself when I say that, into the fold. And I'm still lost with computers, but just even reading these, because I did not read them the first round, but reading these made me think of, oh, okay, now I understand a little more, which is always helpful for me. When I was first introduced to computers, I was in college, had a programming class, and it was one of those situations where they had this huge ass computer and you had to program it using file cards, which to me was just a frickin' waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
But the advances that science has made has now made it possible for people like me to, one, learn how to program, Not that that's even a thing anymore, but it's also something that makes a computer a little more believable in the respect that maybe this is something I could actually do.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased with what Radio Shack did with this. I think it's a marvelous idea.
Yeah. Well, they did what
No
they
pun
were meant to
intended,
do.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Most people thought computers at this time was just a glorified typewriter, you know. So I think it was a cool idea to kind of take it in, you know, of course, in a fantasy world, but still in a real world of showing you, here's how your computer can help you. You know, you may not be saving the world, but, you know, if you buy a disc with a dictionary, you have all the words you need in the computer. Which I will say the invention of the internet that came along, and it made computers much more useful. Because before it was what you wanted to know, you had to buy the disk or code it into the computer to, you know.
Or go to the damn library and look in a book.
Yeah.
You know.
But see, that was supposed to be the appeal of computers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. It supplements that. And it eventually takes it over, but, you know, in a Skynet sort of way. But we're not to that point in history yet.
No.
In this story.
To me, it was very fascinating. It was different than a video game. It was slower than a video game, but it was cooler than a video game. My dad worked in electronics, so when the new thing came out, my dad was one of the first people to have it. You know, I mean, my God, we had a Betamax. So, you know, the computer, when we first got it, it was, you know, you kids can tinker on it, and I was just enthralled. I mean, I had friends who were nerds even then. Hey, go figure. But they had the cool, you know, choose your own adventure games and that kind of thing. And, you know, so it was pretty cool. To me, I found more ways to use it than what like my sisters and stuff did. They didn't get it, you know, or you could do so bringing it back on topic, Radio Shack did what they, you know, designed to do. They wanted to show people, hey, this isn't so scary. It's not going to take over the world. It did, but it's not going to take over the world, you know.
Right, but it is a useful tool.
It is. It could be.
Right.
Yep.
And
if we could show you how, it can be.
And they tapped into, I mean, essentially pop culture icons to get that message across. So technically Superman and Wonder Woman and Supergirl are like influencers in this case. 40 years ago.
They tapped into the kids. They tapped into us. That was what the appeal for this was, because this is our future of computers. If you would have told me when I was doing my multiplication facts on a computer that later on in my life I could code it and make 3D meshes and all kinds of things, I would have thought you were insane, you know. So that's who they were trying to reach, though, was the younger crowd. Let's get them really excited about this, and these will be our future Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and, you know.
Right, and honestly, this is going on about the same time Microsoft is starting anyway.
Yeah.
So, and Apple, and a lot of the stuff that is household names now.
Yeah. Which also, in a way, became the downfall for Radio Shack.
Yeah, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
So in a way, they were putting themselves out of business a little bit. I mean, of course, they also thought they were going to keep up, I think. It worked. TRS-80 was great, and as if they had kept coming out with the next new great thing, that would have been great. But they didn't. I think at the time they probably didn't realize how quickly the tech sector was going to turn over with technology and new gadgets. Because I think a lot of people didn't know how fast that was going to happen.
Yep. So do you think DC would do something like this today?
I think they would.
For the right price tag, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did they sell you Hostess stuff?
Yeah, but that's a one-page ad. This was the whole book, was Radio Shack, you know?
But didn't the advertisement for the Hostess get you to want to buy Hostess?
Yeah, I liked the Snicker ones. They did better.
Okay.
You need a Snickers bar. But yeah, they probably paid big bucks for those splash pages for sure. And I hate when they use their splash page for advertisements. So if they're listening, don't do that. That's
At least make it look different from the rest of the book that it's in, right?
Oh, yes.
Right.
That was what was
man.
confusing. Because it was like, wait, what?
Right. Why the hell is Batman all of a sudden talking about a Snickers bar? Come on now.
You get really into it to the very ending. Maybe you should eat a Snickers bar. And you're like, fuck.
Well, then you got to
I
back up
just
and say,
read
how
it.
far back do I have to go to get out of this thing to figure out where
Right.
to, yeah.
What
Nobody
I
wants to
normally
back
skip
up.
through on TV, I just invested time in.
Right. They got me. So now I'm pissed and I'm not going to buy a Snickers bar.
But it would
But
maybe
I'm
I
hungry.
get a Snicker bar because I'm pissed.
But I'm hungry now.
I'm not going to turn down a Snickers bar. I'm sorry.
Me
Right?
either. I mean, come on. Well, I might today. Tomorrow might be a different story.
Ah, yeah.
I don't think so. Do you recall any time that Marvel was doing this?
I remember Marvel doing something more local. I'm sure they did it in other bigger cities as well, but I mean, they had one with X-Men at State Fair.
Mm-hmm.
There was one with Spider-Man, and it was a whole thing for the Dallas Time-Herald.
Yeah.
If anybody remembers that newspaper, that's been gone for, 30 years
Quite
now?
a while, yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I'm sure there was a few others that I'm just not, it's not coming up to mind right now. But yeah, I mean, they did a few.
But like you said, they were for local stuff rather than national.
Yeah, I don't think they did anything along the lines of anything like with Radio Shack or something along those lines. I could be wrong, but I'm just not remembering it right now. I mean, I remember reading these and thought they were kind of cool, but, looking back at them now and going, that's all you can do. Okay.
Oh, I need another disc for that. Or what I hated is the game you really wanted to play, and it was 6 freaking floppies to load that thing before you can even get it started.
Which is like a 20-minute process.
Yeah.
On a good day.
On a good day.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
And you couldn't just leave it because you had to be there to put in disc 2, put in disc 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Those were the good days.
Yeah, and you remember that little line that was twirling around, telling you that it was processing.
Yeah. Loading.
Processing. Just a moment. Processing. But yeah, I mean, and they seem to be very, very successful. There was an article in Back Issue magazine. I don't remember what issue it was. It's been out for a couple of years. That kind of focused on these books, and they did real well. Obviously, they did real well because there was 3 of them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly, they kind of had the same story every time.
Well, yeah.
And they went, I mean, they changed up how they kind of presented the teachy parts a bit. Although honestly, the third one did look a lot like the first one, but
Yeah.
I mean, at least they made it visually interesting, which is good because they're doing it in a comics format, so you want it to be visually interesting. And the story, it's the bad guy was different, but it was ultimately the same idea that the superheroes needed help for some reason or other.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have these two kids who are kind of the best in the class at working these computers, and so they're the ones who get the help.
Mm-hmm.
And make the kids the important part of the story. I mean, clearly they were aiming at a target audience here.
Yeah.
Like Liz said earlier. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take, and yeah, I do kind of wonder how much money they threw at DC to make this happen, but not enough to actually like go try to find out. But it is an interesting idea.
Yeah. And what year did these come out again?
Yeah, they were.
I think
80?
I think it was 80, 81, and 82. They were about a year apart, I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, about 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
See, this would have been the thing. When I was in school, they would, like every Friday, we would get usually like 4 pages, but it was things that were going on in the world and kind of broke it down and gave you an activity to discuss or do in class. I forget what they were called, but it was like a little newspaper thing. I could see this going to the schools in place of one of those, educational. Put it in the hands of the kids that you want to go buy a $500 computer. Top of the line computer in the 80s was $500.
Right, $500 was, you got to account for inflation and all of that. $500 then was probably $1,500 now.
Yeah.
I'm totally making that number up, by the way. I haven't like looked or anything.
True.
There's probably a calculator for that on the internet, though, huh?
Yeah. Or you could get the one with the 12-inch screen for $700.
$500 in 1980 would be $1,721.58.
See, I told you there was a thing on the internet for it.
So, lower end gaming computer now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So were these comics free? Did Radio Shack give them out, or was it you had to buy these?
No, they were free.
They were free.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. See, I could see giving them to the schools then, if they were free. Especially with like I said, they had advertisements for science fair stuff and free batteries and free this and $1 off, I could see giving that to the people you want to come into the store to spend those coupons and keep them,
What I didn't see was my Sea Monkeys ad.
Now that you say that, I don't think I did either.
Uh-huh.
I didn't see my Sea Monkeys in there.
Quite a few for the science fair, but go figure.
Sea Monkeys would be great for the science fair. Come on.
Oh, and I just saw the one that had a test in it.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you see, and that's another thing. They probably did give these to some of the schools because that would be something you would do in class and discuss your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was at home, I wasn't going to take a test.
Oh, hell no.
Not if it didn't tell me who I was supposed to marry in the future or those stupid little quizzes.
Wow.
It took 2 minutes to do,
Or which beetle are you?
Yeah. Which Smurf would you date? Jokey every time.
Please tell me that did not happen.
Oh, there was a couple of, and Teen Beat and that kind of thing. There was always some kind of stupid quiz like that.
I am so leaving this alone.
Which Pokemon are you? It depends. You make me laugh too hard, it's Squirtle.
Holy cow.
Wow.
It's what we call
TMI?
TMI.
Yeah.
And I think now would probably be a good time to say, let's take a freaking break. Which is what we're about to do. And we'll be back with our new segment. And we're back, and it's time for our new segment, Geek News, where we pick out a couple of news items to kind of bring onto the show and kind of discuss a little bit. So for this week, it will be myself and Les. And Les, why don't you lead off?
I'm sorry, but this seems like a downer, but we had the passing of a couple of people that really affected me. One was Conrad Janis. Janis was close to 100 years old. And with his passing, though, I can remember him on various things. The main thing, I guess, would be Mindy's father on Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
To me, he was a solid actor that took roles not looking for the lead. He was the guy in the background. He was the second banana. But he did so many good roles. And he ended up on science fiction. He ended up on comedy. He did, he did a lot of TV series with doctors and lawyers and such. To me, he was always solid. What I remember him first was the TV series Quark, and that was back in the late 70s. That was just one of those that stuck with me, and I'm sorry, but he was a kind of like a father figure that I just enjoyed watching, because he was erudite, yet he could turn a phrase and be funny as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was William Hurt. What can I say? Because he was an Academy Award-winning actor that first came to my attention in what was the name of it? Not Altered States, but before that, he did a movie, Eyewitness. I saw Eyewitness before I saw Altered States, which was a year later. But then the man started doing things like Body Heat, Big Chill, Kiss the Spider Woman. To me, one of his best. My wife was in love with him, and I said, yes, but can he do a comedy? And when Broadcast News came out, I said, okay, now the guy has proven to me that he is an actor. Because Broadcast News was not slap your knee funny, but he made it believable. He made you believe that his character was naive, but he was sly like a fox, and he knew what was going on. Later, he did The Doctor, which I thought was really good, where he was diagnosed with a disease, and he fought through the movie with one of the another patient with the same disease. So I'm going to miss the man, because he has been so strong in everything. And of course, right now, anybody that watches Marvel movies knows who Thunderbolt Ross was, playing him. And hopefully that's not the only thing they know of him from. So if you get the chance, step out there and go watch broadcast news, go watch Altered States, go watch Body Heat, things like that. And
didn't he also
course,
do Accidental Tourist?
Yes.
That one was funny too.
Yep. Both really good actors, very strong actors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for my news item, I don't want a dog pile on a certain company, although we've already talked a little bit about them. But apparently Disney's having problems with its Star Wars hotel that just opened up at the first of the month. Now, granted, it's only been open essentially 2 weeks. By the time this comes out, it's going to be closer to 3 weeks.
Nobody's buying the blue milk?
Mm-mm.
Nobody's wanting to spend the $1,000 or plus a night.
$5,000 a night.
Well, I'm looking at the website. It depends on because I saw that. Then I actually went to the website, and if you want the entire package, it's $4,809, and it's a two night minimum.
Oh, come on now! It should not be more than $1,138.
There you go. But and that's just for 2 guests per cabin. For the entire package, it's $4,809, or just $1,209 for one guest. And like, well, yeah, I mean that's pretty expensive. But with that, you get access to the Star Wars park, which I forgot what it's called now. But it's a rather involved stay, because if you now, this is if you wanted to, you can be brought into like a secret mission or some kind of storyline that's going on during the stay, as you're supposedly on a cruiser flying to another planet. But yeah, I when I saw the article, and I saw the article on the 12th, Saturday the 12th, they were talking about open dates for several months, and I'm looking at the website. There's only like 4 dates available in June, half of July, but August is completely open. September, for the most part, is open. October is completely open. November's almost completely. It's open except for 2 dates, and December is completely open. And I'm going, well, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm like, it's only been open for a couple of weeks, but look at that freaking price tag.
Yeah.
But with that, let me get over here and see what it all entails. It's 2-night stay in a cabin or suite, ongoing immersive and interactive entertainment where choices determine your experience. Food and beverage, well, good. I'm kind of glad. on the Star Cruiser, excluding alcoholic and specialty beverages, and a quick service meal at the Docking Bay 7 food and cargo or other select locations at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Admission to Disney's Hollywood Studios for your planetary excursion to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, that's what it's called. Valet parking, and exclusive Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Magic Band.
Now, I want to know if the valet person who parks your car, when he comes out, you give him the keys. I want to know if he looks at it and goes, "You came here in that thing? You're braver than I thought."
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
I would wonder if he'd go, "OOTD!"
That would be great. They all dressed up as Jawas. That would be awesome.
Okay, for a standard cabin, it's fitted with furnishings and fixtures designed to ensure comfort while traveling through Galaxy, including a pull-out table and TV with entertainment from your home planet and a window with a view out into space. A standard cabin sleeps 4 to 5 people. There's a queen bed. There's 2 berths, which are bunk beds, and I saw the picture. And I'm like, oh God, my claustrophobia would be killing me.
Mm-hmm.
And then a wall pull down bed for 1 adult, if you need to sleep 5. But it includes a mini refrigerator, a hair dryer, an in-cabin safe, phone with voicemail messaging, interactive TV, H2O plus spa, bath, and shower products. That's a standard cabin.
So a hotel room.
Pretty much.
A fairly large hotel room, because that's
Yeah.
So, yeah. But according to the article, there's 100 rooms. The hotel has 100 rooms. So, but it's just like, I'm like, going back to what Liz said at the first of the show about the whole thing about adding fees to ticket prices. It's like, this is probably not the right time to open up this hotel.
Yeah, and then they'll wonder, why isn't it doing too good?
So, but I saw that and I was like, wow. And so I saw that price tag, $5,000, and then you start looking into it. It's like, yeah, it's $5,000 if it's 2 people, but still, that's pretty freaking expensive.
Yeah, that is.
For a start.
Now, it sounds like it could be a fun experience if you want to partake in, if you want to get in and then all of a sudden you're asked to join the resistance or you're needing help to smuggle an item, this type of thing. That sounds kind of cool. But you kind of whether or not you want to play with it, but the fact that you have that option, it's kind of like the mystery inns, where you spend a weekend and someone's murdered and you got to figure out who the murderer is and that kind of thing. Something along those lines. And so, it's kind of an interesting idea, but man, it's just I keep going to that price tag. It's just like,
yeah.
Max Rebuild better be there for entertainment.
There you go.
Well, it's crazy because you can go on their cruise, which of course you're going to get a lot more than that room is offering for less than $2,000. They're usually anywhere from 4 days, 2 guests. I would rather be on a boat than. That's crazy, because before that, with their cruises though, they have it to where you can get like a credit card and pay into it. Say you want to go on a cruise and the total price is $3,000, where you can pay into this card until you get to $3,000, and so they do make kind of a payment plan. I wonder if they're going to have to break down and do the same thing on this, kind of like a payment plan kind of thing.
Yeah.
'Cause that's insane.
That is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, $5,000 you can buy a decent used car. Yeah.
Well, you could a few years ago anyway.
Right.
Could get your own ship for that.
Right.
Yeah, but who's going to pilot it?
Yeah.
You?
If you can afford the gas.
Yeah, I could pilot. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. We don't have to listen to this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for playing along. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. It's part of the $5,000 you're paying me for this, you know.
That's right.
You're getting paid?
Right.
What the hell?
So Mikey's taking us to the Star Wars place.
Anything other than a cruise, but whatever.
I liked the cruise.
I didn't.
No.
Mm-mm.
I got boat sick till I found out I didn't have sea legs, but a couple of Dramamine and that sticker behind your ear, I was good to go.
I got claustrophobic.
And
And then agoraphobic. And then, yeah.
Yeah,
It
I could
spiraled
see that.
fast.
Because even a nice room is not very big on a boat.
Right. And the other downside is that we went in high season. So the boat was packed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Packed with people. Thousands of people. All within arm's reach.
Ooh. Yeah.
All there to see you.
Mm-hmm. Well, they couldn't not see me because I was right next to them.
I hated the way they did their dining like that, too. Why are you going to make me sit with a bunch of freaking strangers? Get their own table. I hated that.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't thrilled about that part either.
Yeah. And then you had to know like 3 months ahead of time if you wanted to eat dinner at 6 or at 8.
Right, because they have to do it in shifts because there's too fucking many people on the boat to feed them all at once.
You're like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do that day.
Right.
And if you miss it, you have to go eat in the buffets, which is gross.
Also questionable, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have tons of food. That's the thing they always talk about. Oh, they have tons of food. Yeah, they do. Some of it's even edible.
It out all day.
All day long. And they have the midnight buffet, which is great
that
for
one
when
wasn't too bad, yeah.
Which was great for. Well, it was artistic anyway.
Yeah.
It was pretty. I'll give them that.
We usually hit that after day drinking, you know.
A lot of people did that on the cruise I was on. A lot of people were day drinking.
Went to Mexico, $1 tequila shots. It was like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm home. And it was pink.
Pink tequila?
Pink tequila. It was mezcal. Yeah.
So did you eat the worm?
No.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have drank it had I known there was a freaking worm in the bottom of
That's pretty much why I just asked that question. Because I was pretty sure you wouldn't have.
I just was like, oh, it's pink.
Good thing you didn't ask why.
Now, after a couple of shots, I cannot 100% say that would be an accurate comment.
Fun times. Probably less drinking on the Star Wars thing, but okay. To try to bring it back to something here.
Oh, could you imagine getting sick on blue milk? Oh. That would be a nightmare.
Oh, man.
Don't do that. Oh, man.
You okay, Liz?
Yeah. I have a sensitive gag reflex, so don't do that.
Don't do what?
The hurl sound. It'll make me hurl.
Anyway.
Such is life.
Okay. So, All right. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Just
Nothing here.
shoot us questions for the Ask the Fellowship thing.
There you go. Definitely.
It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll move on to our regular shout-outs. Want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Check them out. There will be a link in our show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Podern Family, who've been so kind as to retweet our links. They're spreading the word of the fellowship. And the best way to check them out is to go to Twitter and do a search, hashtag Podern Family, one word, and just scroll through, and whatever catches your eye, please click on that link and download that episode, and hope you have a good time listening to them. We'll also want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music for our podcast. There's a link in the show notes where you can check out their fine music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support, and we value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. Best way to do that is our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or go to the website, and on our About Us page, there is a contact form that you can fill out. If you join our Discord, we do have a feedback channel that you can post your questions or comments. Or you can join us on social media. On Facebook, we are the Fellowship of the Geeks. And obviously, we are on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. Les may or may not be found @FakeLesWebster. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye for 2 weeks? We'll be back at the 1st of April.
Mm-hmm. Just thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.
And that's not April Fool's on us. We'll be back then.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We do appreciate the support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,